This is not a surprise to some people because this has been in the news before. I'm trying to find the parties here. The plaintiff is the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, the DFEH of California. They're an agency of the state of California, and they're bringing this action in its own name to remedy violations of the California Fair Employment and Housing Act, government code, yada yada, against the defendant, Activision Blizzard. This is kind of a spicy court filing here. Headquartered in California since the 1970s. Wow, I didn't realize they were that old. Where the nation's strongest anti-harassment, equal pay, and other equal employment opportunity protections exist for employees, defendants should be a safe haven workplace in the video gaming industry. Sexism has plagued the male-dominated gaming industry for decades, and increasingly so in recent years. And we've heard lots of reports like coming out on Twitter and in different gaming publications about different things happening with different companies. I believe Bungie also had some things against them, but I didn't actually see anything. It doesn't surprise me though. Women and girls now make up almost half of gamers in America, but the gaming industry continues to cater to men, even in California. Activision Blizzard's double-digit percentage growth, 10-figure annual revenues, and recent diversity marketing campaigns have unfortunately changed little. Defendants' compliance with California's broad workplace protections is long overdue. To enforce such compliance, DFEH brings us government enforcement action seeking to remedy, prevent, and deter defendants' violations of the state's civil rights and equal pay laws to vindicate the rights of defendants, female employees, and the public interest of the state of California. So whenever they say defendant, they're saying Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard Inc. is headquartered in Santa Monica, California. It is one of the largest American video game developers and distributors with approximately 9,500 employees and over 100 million players worldwide. It is considered a leading gaming platform in the Western world. And it is a member of the Fortune 500 and S&P 500. So, publicly traded, you guys can look at the annual reports. They are available online and they're free. So you can go back and see what different games in their organization are bringing in. Activision Blizzard conducts business through its subsidiaries, Blizzard Entertainment Inc., King Digital Entertainment, and Activision Publishing Inc., among others. Activision Blizzard also operates global esports organizations, Overwatch League and Call of Duty League. The video game franchise Call of Duty is Activision Publishing's key product. Blizzard Entertainment maintains the online gaming service Battle.net and includes key franchises such as World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch. Unlike its customer base of increasingly diverse players, Defendants' workforce is only about 20% women. That's not really surprising. It is more of a technical industry, and while one may think that it would be fun to work for a video game company, whenever Blizzard hires or Bungie hires, I do like to look at the job postings to see what they hire for. And they are more tech jobs. And the fact is, most women do not train for tech jobs. They're not qualified. But these women have been hired by Blizzard, and we will hear their stories in a little bit. I should say Activision. Its top leadership is also exclusively male and white. The CEO and president roles are now, and have always been, held by white men. Very few women ever reach top roles at the company. The women who do reach higher roles earn less salary, incentive pay, and total compensation than their male peers, as evidenced in defendants' own records. So I think this will be an interesting case to follow if someone actually does, because hopefully the information comes out about this, because you could argue either way about women, why a lot of women make less money. The job that I was just offered, they would have brought me in at the low $17 an hour had I not asked them what their budget was and said that I needed the higher wage. I asked for it. And as someone who used to work as a career coach, one of the things we found out is women typically don't ask for more money. They usually take the first thing that's offered to them. Similar disparities exist throughout the company. Like the executive ranks, women across the company are assigned to lower paid and lower opportunity levels. Female employees receive lower starting pay and also learn less than male employees for substantially similar work. Defendants promote women more slowly and terminate them more quickly than their male counterparts. Okay, so the rate of hiring and firing is that really should not be something drawn along gender lines. So that's something to look into. Faced with such adverse terms and conditions of employment, many women have been forced to leave the company. Defendants have also fostered a pervasive frat boy workplace culture that continues to thrive. In the office, women are subjected to cube crawls, in which male employees drink copious amounts of alcohol as they crawl their way through various cubicles in the office, and often engage in inappropriate behavior toward female employees. Male employees proudly come into work hungover, play video games for long periods of time during work while delegating their responsibilities to female employees, engage in banter about their sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and joke about rape. Okay, all of that is wildly inappropriate if true. Unsurprisingly, let me try again. Unsurprisingly, defendants' frat boy culture is a breeding ground for harassment and discrimination against women. Female employees are subjected to constant sexual harassment, including having to continually fend off unwanted sexual comments and advances by their male coworkers and supervisors, and being groped at the cube crawls and other company events. High-ranking executives and creators engaged in blatant sexual harassment without repercussions. In a particularly tragic example, a female employee committed suicide during a business trip with a male supervisor who had, oh my God, I didn't read this part, who had brought butt plugs and lubricant with him on the trip. Defendants continuously condone the quid pro quo and hostile work environment. The message is not lost on their employees. Oh my gosh. All right, we're going to move forward in this, get into the details. The parties, they define who each party is in this suit. All right, here's where it gets interesting. Factual allegations. DFEH incorporates and realleges all previous allegations as if fully set forth herein. Sex discrimination, pay, assignment, promotion, termination, and constructive discharge. Defendants have engaged in and continue to perpetuate discriminatory practices regarding pay, assignment, promotion, and other terms and conditions of employment which negatively affect and impact female employees. These discriminatory practices began at hire when women were offered lower compensation and less lucrative job assignments and opportunities than their male counterparts. Defendants paid female employees significantly less in starting pay than their male counterparts at hire. This pattern or practice and violations were continuing. The pay disparity continued throughout the employment for female employees. Defendants paid female employees significantly less than their male counterparts after hire. This pattern or practice and violations were continuing. Women were also afforded less stock and incentive pay opportunities. Female employees were overwhelmingly assigned into lower grades levels without stock and incentive pay opportunities or less opportunities. Female employees also received less stock and incentive compensation than male employees. This pattern or practice and violations were continuing. Yeah, generally, those things are pretty standard across across the board. Like, generally, it's kind of like healthcare, like everyone gets the same package in most places. Women were steered into the lower levels of defendants' hierarchy and often had to work harder and longer to earn equal promotional and other opportunities as their male counterparts. As an example, a female employee working for Blizzard Entertainment was assigned to a lower level role, denied equal pay, and subsequently sought a promotion because she had been carrying out duties exceeding her job description. Fair. She was repeatedly told it was not her turn, and others deserved a promotion ahead of her. Ultimately, the employee was promoted after 3 years, while her male counterpart was promoted within a year of his hire, despite having started several months after her. Her male counterpart was also assigned leadership responsibilities, which she was not afforded. Responsibilities which furthered the male employee's ability to get promoted. In another example, a female employee who worked at Blizzard Entertainment was assigned to a lower level, denied equal pay, and passed over for a promotion despite multiple factors that suggested she earned it. Highly rated performance reviews. She generated significantly more revenue in her marketing campaigns than her male counterpart, and she ran almost twice as many campaigns as her male counterpart. Damn. Despite her accomplishments, her male counterpart was invited to have monthly or weekly one-on-one meetings with the vice president. She was not afforded these same opportunities and, unsurprisingly, was passed over for promotion in favor of her male counterpart. Now, this is interesting, and I hope this is fleshed out because people are going to want to hate the company as a whole. That's usually how we react to things like these. And Activision Blizzard is more than just the executive team. You have all the employees, the actual developers, the people who actually make the video games. Uh, this makes it sound like everybody in the company is engaging in this behavior, and I doubt that's the case. Also, you probably have different offices split up. They're probably in multiple buildings. You have subcultures within this company. And the question is, who exactly is engaging us in some of this behavior? Now, right now, we're calling out the vice president. So that's good. We have a role here. We know one of the offenders. But like I said, this is something that's going to have to play out in court in order for anyone to have a fair opinion of what's actually going on. But definitely, I hope something changes. And usually, if you have this kind of environment, it does affect the end product. And as most of us do play Activision Blizzard games, and some of us have left those games, we understand the products aren't always the best. Yes, it is nuts. Similarly, other female employees at Blizzard Entertainment were assigned to lower level roles, denied equal pay, and further delayed or passed over for promotions in favor of male counterparts who lacked the same experience or qualifications, but who were friends with the male head of the unit. Okay, so lower level managers. A newly promoted male supervisor delegated his responsibilities to his now female subordinates in favor of playing Call of Duty. Other male supervisors would refuse to communicate with female employees, going to their male counterparts for information. Female employees at Activision Publishing were also assigned to lower level roles, denied equal pay, and delayed or passed over for promotions of their male counterparts. As an example, a female human resources employee at Activision Publishing was delayed and passed over for a promotion despite receiving positive performance reviews, doing substantial more work than her male counterpart, and taking over the actual responsibilities of the departing person. Female accounting employees at Activision Publishing likewise note that male counterparts were paid significantly more than them despite doing the same or less work and having less responsibilities. Female employees were also not promoted because of defendants' discriminatory practices against pregnant female employees. A female employee working on one game team had assumed some of the responsibilities of a manager, but when she asked her male supervisor about being fairly paid for the work she was actually doing and promoted into that position, the manager commented that they could not risk promoting her as she might get pregnant and like being a mom too much. Oh my gosh! This is so 1960s. Cray cray. In general, female employees were further treated negatively due to their pregnancies. Supervisors ignored medical restrictions given to female employees and gave them negative evaluations while they were out on maternity leave. Other female employees reported that they were criticized for leaving to pick up their children from daycare while their male counterparts were playing video games, and female employees were kicked out of lactation rooms so employees could use the room for meetings. Women of color were particularly vulnerable targets of defendants' discriminatory practices. An African American employee noted that it took her 2 years to be made into a permanent employee, while men hired after her were made permanent employees. She also was micromanaged such that her male coworkers were known to be playing video games without any intervention by her supervisor, but her supervisor would call and check on her if she took a break to go on a walk. Another African American employee who worked on information technology was similarly micromanaged by her manager, unlike the men on her team. When she requested time off of work, her manager made her write a one-page summary of how she would spend that time off of work when no one else had to do any write-up. Okay, no one should have to do a write-up at any time. Time off is a benefit, and it's none of their business what you're doing on your vacation. The male supervisor also criticized her body language despite male counterparts slouching in meetings, and she was scolded for asking for assistance while others could get help on similar tasks without the same criticism. These experiences led female employees to leave their employment with Activision Blizzard. As a result of these discriminatory pay, assignment, promotion, and other practices, defendants' gender pay gap is significant. Okay, this is a term I appreciate. So this is probably taking out... When I mentioned earlier about women negotiating for pay in jobs, you do need to see if something's statistically significant. So is it different from what the industry normally has? Or across the board, nationwide? Is there really a gender pay gap that's unusual that can account for the fact that a lot of women don't negotiate for pay? With that said, I think a lot of women who would go into this environment would be more aggressive and would probably ask for what they want, which it seems like they are. I mean, they've brought legal into it. Defendants paid female employees significantly less in base pay and total compensation than their male counterparts. This pattern or practice and violations were continuing. When women complained to human resource personnel about the lack of equal employment opportunities, especially in comparison to their male counterparts, their complaints fell on deaf ears or were met with an empty promise to investigate the issue. Indeed, despite having retained Paul Hastings LLP from 2015 to 2017 and Miller Law Group in 2018 to allegedly provide analysis related to compensation data, Activision Blizzard failed to take effective and reasonable steps to prevent pay discrimination, as the pay disparity between male and female employees was not remedied and continued. So they hired 2 organizations to examine the situation, and nothing changed. I'd kind of like to see the results of that, but I'm pretty sure it's private information. Well, it might not be private. It might be public since it's a publicly traded organization. As a result of these discriminatory practices, female employees were forced to leave their employment with defendants. For example, female employees noted that they accepted less compensation than they were making in their prior employment or offered by other companies to work for defendants with a hollow promise that they would get promoted or get other forms of compensation to make up the difference. They never made up ground and instead had to watch as male comparators were promoted more quickly and offered more compensation, forcing them to leave the company. So, female employees noted that they accepted less compensation than they were making in their prior. The hollow promise that they would get promoted or get other forms of compensation. So I remember when General Motors hired its female CEO, people were really excited about that. It was all the buzz in business news. And her base compensation was a lot lower than her predecessors, and people were trying to make something of it. But when they did the math with other forms of compensation, I believe she is the highest paid CEO of General Motors. So it is important to include those other forms of compensation. But again, in an employee situation, I don't really see that being a factor. It typically isn't. Usually that hourly wage or that salary is what's going to matter most. Stock options are usually an added benefit. Additionally, defendants terminated female employees more quickly than their male counterparts. This pattern or practice and violations were continuing. In sum, defendants' discriminatory practices adversely affected women in compensation, assignment, promotion, and termination. Defendants failed to take effective steps to remedy or adequately correct its compensation disparities despite its awareness that such disparities existed. Defendants' discriminatory practices continued to the date of this complaint. So, based on this and what I've read in other sources, it sounds like this has been going on. This is a 2-year investigation, and they have been trying to work on remedying this situation, and nothing has changed. And so now we have a court case. So this has been a long time coming. This is not a new thing. Sexual harassment. Female employees almost universally confirmed that working for Activision Blizzard was akin to working in a frat house, which invariably involved male employees drinking and subjecting female employees to sexual harassment with no repercussion. Cube crawls in Activision Blizzard offices were common, and male employees proudly came into work hungover. So offices, plural, multiple offices. Okay. That's getting to one of the questions I asked earlier. Cube crawls in defendants' offices were common, and male employees proudly came into work hungover. Similarly, male employees would play video games during work, engage in banter about their sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and make numerous jokes about rape. Okay, I am fine with a certain level of talk. I've always worked in places where we had a lot of sexual innuendo. Like, we joked around, but it was nothing like this. There is a line, and this is wildly inappropriate. Because there's some things that people have gotten dinged for, and it's like, really? 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 But no, these are very bad jokes and topics. You should not be talking about female bodies in the workplace. As a product of this frat boy culture, women were subjected to numerous sexual comments and advances, groping, and unwanted physical touching and other forms of harassment. A female employee noted that random male employees would approach her on Defendants' worksite and comment on her breasts. Female employees working for the World of Warcraft team noted that male employees and supervisors would hit on them, make derogatory comments about rape, and otherwise engage in demeaning behavior. This behavior was known to supervisors and indeed encouraged by them, including a male supervisor openly encouraging a male subordinate to buy a prostitute to cure his bad mood. Wow. Yeah, this is a court filing against Activision Blizzard. It's been 2 years in the works. Yes. Activision Blizzard's going to court, dude. This is an official legal case, and they've requested a jury by trial. Yeah. In a blatant example of defendant's refusal to deal with a harasser because of his seniority and position, Alex, I don't know his name, I don't care. Alex, the former senior creative director of World of Warcraft at Blizzard Entertainment, was permitted to engage in blatant sexual harassment with little to no repercussions. During a company event, an annual convention called BlizzCon, Alex would hit on female employees, telling them he wanted to marry them, attempting to kiss them, and putting his arms around them. Ew! This was in plain view of other male employees, including supervisors, who had to intervene and pull him off female employees. He was so known to engage in harassment of females that his suite was nicknamed the Crosby Suite after another typo. It should be, I'm assuming Bill Cosby is who their Crosby Suite, huh? He would also call females derogatory names at company events. His conduct was known to Blizzard Entertainment's executives, who took no effective remedial measures. J. Allen Brack, president of Blizzard Entertainment, allegedly had multiple conversations with him about his drinking and that he had been too friendly towards female employees at company events, but gave him a slap on the wrist of verbal counseling. Okay. Wow. In response to these incidents. Subsequently, he continued to make unwanted advances towards female employees, including grabbing a female employee's hand and inviting her to his hotel room and groping another woman. You know what's interesting about this? Like, we all know that Jeff Kaplan left recently, and he was with them for, 19 years? And he was vice president. It was your favorite part? It's insane. This is too wild. What sort of workplace were they running? An organization is going to reflect the values and beliefs of the people who run it. And, yeah. That's why this community, I have standards for the people who are here, and I generally don't kick people out. People kick themselves out, but you need to make sure that you have people who aren't going to infiltrate the organization and turn it into a toxic environment. But it sounds like Blizzard, they're like that at the top. So, and it is the president's job to fire a man who is that much of a liability. You can't tell me this guy is not replaceable. Especially in an organization like Blizzard. Like, come on. When you look at the products they've put out in the past, you have a lot of strong people working there. And yes, a lot of them are women. You flirt with me constantly. It's insane. I don't know, Kat. I don't know. Some of you are pretty interesting, but again, the stuff that we do here is stuff that I've done in the workplace with male coworkers, and there's nothing suggestive about it. It's just joking about stuff. We're not joking about raping each other. There are lines. You and I have X-Gener humor. Know your audience, yes. And if you are hiring people, if people work for you, you have a responsibility to your employees, 100%. And they weren't responsible to their employees. In a tragic example of the harassment that defendants is Activision Blizzard allowed to fester in their offices, a female employee committed suicide while on a company trip due to a sexual relationship that she had been having with her male supervisor. This is very sad. The male supervisor was found by police to have brought a butt plug and lubricant on his business trip. Another employee confirmed that the deceased female employee may have been suffering from other sexual harassment at work prior to her death. Specifically, at a holiday party before her death, male coworkers were alleged to be passing around a picture of the deceased's vagina. Retaliation and defendants' failure to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. The problems of harassment, so this is going to explain who's responsible for this and what they've known. The problems of harassment and discrimination extended to and at a minimum were known to those at the top. Defendant's former chief technology officer, CTO, was observed by employees groping inebriated female employees at a company event and was known for making hiring decisions based on female applicants' looks. An employee complained to Blizzard Entertainment, President J. Allen Brack, in early 2019 that employees were leaving due to sexual harassment and sexism. So I do think 20% of the workforce within a company is pretty low for female representation, even in a male-dominated environment. And this would explain why. If they have a high turnover of women, this would explain why it's only 20%. I do think 20% is low. I mean, and like I said earlier, there are industries that draw men more than women. But I mean, you've got like sales and marketing, which I love. A lot of women love marketing. They go into marketing. You have human resources, which is female dominated. And these are usually huge aspects. And then, of course, you do have your female devs, your programmers, your art. There's no reason why women can't do art. I think a lot of women do amazing art. And it makes sense that they would be artists. Although, like, you know, we saw the highlight on the Diablo artist who's been doing it for a very long time. And, you know, it's a dude who brought his son into it, which that's fine. It started off as a small thing. But if something were to happen to him, well, probably his son would take over. But but those are just two people. And I believe they're contracting. I don't think they're actual employees. Specifically, this employee noted that women on the Battle.net team were subjected to disparaging comments. The environment was akin to working in a frat house, and that women who were not huge gamers or core gamers and not in the party scene were excluded and treated as outsiders. Which is also interesting. I don't know. Video gamers are a different breed. I know, I am one. Female employees had raised further complaints to various human resources personnel about the discrimination they faced, including but not limited to complaints about unfair pay and assignments, male coworkers belittling them or minimizing their contributions, and male counterparts being promoted quickly despite their lack of seniority. Now, I don't agree with promoting someone just because they were there first. That doesn't work. Some people should never be promoted. And we all know that. We've all had bosses who we were like, why was this guy ever promoted? And I don't think anyone should ever be promoted just because of their race, gender, whatever. They need to promote the right people. But it sounds like Blizzard uses kind of like this union mentality of, well, they were here first, but then they renege on it to promote who they want to rather than who was there first. Similarly, female employees also complained of the harassment they suffered, including that male coworkers groped them. This sounds like it's widespread from how this is written. That male supervisor asked them on dates and of other unwanted harassment. Defendants failed to take reasonable action in response to these complaints. Such lack of effective remedial measures was not surprisingly given defendants' own internal investigation into their human resources unit noted that there was a big lack of trust and that HR not held in high regard. Multiple employees also noted that their complaints were not kept confidential. Oh my gosh. In retaliation for complaints they made regarding harassment and discrimination, female employees experienced retaliation by Activision Blizzard that included involuntary transfers, selection for layoffs, and denial of projects and other opportunities. You know, and it's interesting, what they laid off They laid off a lot of people last year, and then they were going to hire like way more people. So most companies would try to reassign people if a division was being cut back. I mean, that makes sense. And that is what most companies do. Defendants' flawed policies and practices effectively allowed and continue to allow discrimination to occur in defendants' workplace. Employees have suffered and will continue to suffer harm from defendants' ongoing unlawful policies and practices unless they are enjoined by this court. So this is basically going over and just recapping everything that we've read. So these are what Activision Blizzard is being prosecuted on. And there you go. There's the legal story. So the other thing, Kotaku published a response from Activision. I don't know where they got this, but they did quote it. So they published an update 7/21. So this is yesterday. Let's see, let's make this bigger. Activision has responded to the DFEH's suit with a lengthy statement that calls the DFEH and its suit irresponsible behavior from unaccountable state bureaucrats. Wow. Activision Blizzard says, we value diversity and strive to foster a workplace that offers inclusivity for everyone. There is no place in our company or industry, or any industry, for sexual misconduct or harassment of any kind. We take every allegation seriously and investigate all claims. In cases related to misconduct, action was taken to address the issue. The DFEH includes distorted and in many cases false descriptions of Blizzard's past. We have been extremely cooperative with the DFEH throughout their investigation, including providing them with extensive data and ample documentation, but they refused to inform us what issues they perceived. They were required by law to adequately investigate and to have good faith discussions with us to better understand and to resolve any claims or concerns before going to litigation, but they failed to do so. They were required by law to adequately investigate and to have good faith discussions with us. Okay, so this is important. This is very important. I'm not saying whether it's true. That's for the court to decide, but that's something to keep in mind. Instead, they rushed to file an inaccurate complaint, as we will demonstrate in court. I am looking forward to this. But what I have read is that this court case has been 2 years in the making, so I don't understand how 2 years is rushing it. So it'll be interesting to see the details on this and how it plays out. We are sickened by the reprehensible conduct of the DFEH to drag into complaint the tragic suicide of an employee whose passing has no bearing whatsoever on this case, and with no regard for her grieving family. While we find this behavior to be disgraceful and unprofessional, it is unfortunately an example of how they have conducted themselves throughout the course of their investigation. It is this type of irresponsible behavior from unaccountable state bureaucrats that are driving many of the state's best businesses out of California. Now, this was in the back of my mind, not defending. Again, I don't know the truth, neither do you, about what actually happened, but California's agencies aren't exactly known for integrity. Keep that in mind, too. The picture the DFEH paints is not the Blizzard workplace of today. Over the past several years and continuing since the initial investigation started, we've made significant changes to address company culture and reflect more diversity within our leadership teams. We've updated our code of conduct to emphasize a strict non-retaliation focus, amplified internal programs and channels for employees to report violations, including the Ask list, with a confidential integrity hotline, and introduced an employee relations team dedicated to investigating employee concerns. We have strengthened our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and combined our employee networks at a global level to provide additional support. Employees must also undergo regular anti-harassment training and have done so for many years. We put tremendous effort in creating fair and rewarding compensation packages and policies that reflect our culture and business. And we strive to pay all employees fairly for equal or substantially similar work. We take a variety of proactive steps to ensure that pay is driven by non-discriminatory factors. For example, we reward and compensate employees based on their performance, and we conduct extensive anti-discrimination trainings, including for those who are part of the compensation process. We are confident in our ability to demonstrate our practices as an equal opportunity employer that fosters a supportive, diverse, and inclusive workplace for our people, and we are committed to continuing this effort in the years to come. It is a shame that the DFEH did not want to engage with us on what they thought they were seeing in their investigation. Update today at 5:40 a.m. Further examples of the alleged treatment of mothers and Black employees added to the story. Okay, so this was added to the Kotaku story. I'm really not interested in stories that are reported by the press. I'm more interested in what's reported in the actual court documents, because that is a legal document for which people will be held accountable, both parties. The other thing is, I have been interviewed as a representative of a nonprofit. I have been interviewed by both a statewide magazine and a local news station, and neither one represented what I actually said. So their reporting is so bad when it comes to what people actually tell them. They will spin and twist stories. And I think anyone who's ever been interviewed by the press has experienced that. So I would take what Kotaku reports lightly, and I would focus more on the court document, which will be in the description below for YouTube, so people can look that over themselves. And I think it's, instead of jumping to conclusions and hating on Activision Blizzard, people do need to pay attention to what's happening in this court case. It's very important to let the legal process work out. If you actually watch court cases, you'll see a lot of things do come to light. Even if the jury does do some whack decision, you'll see some interesting things come to play. And I hope that the reporting is accurate, and anything that I see, I'll try to find more official channels before I report it. So there you have it.
If you'd like to support this channel, liking and commenting on the videos tells YouTube to share these videos with others who may find them useful. If you'd like to provide monetary support to help keep this channel up and running, visit my locals and subscribe star communities.